Hello class, and welcome to week 1 of WestCiv105 and to this very intense cram course. I hope that you really are aware or ready to come to terms with the fact that it is a cram course. So the benefit is that you'll be done in a relatively short period of time. The other side of it is that you have a lot of work to do in the short amount of time. So tell your lover, your family, your friends that you'll get back to them a month later, okay? It's not that bad, but it's kind of, yeah, we have a lot of work to do. But I would like to try to talk you all in right now into staying into my class. When you look and see all the videos that you have to watch for each week, and you look at the amount of reading, you will become overwhelmed. It's natural. We average about 3 chapters a week, and there are many videos. Most of them are my voice lectures, for better or for worse, and I also incorporate other qualified speakers or documentary pieces. But what I want you to know is this, is that if you look how many hours, okay, I'm required to give you a certain amount of hours of work each week. If you were taking a course like this in the face-to-face class, you'd be spending hours in a classroom. When you watch all the videos that I post, it's still not as much time as you'd have to spend normally in a classroom. So I break down like the lectures into 10-15 minutes most. Sometimes they're shorter, and then I have you watch sometimes longer documentary pieces or other lectures. But that's the hardest part of this class. I don't give quizzes. You don't have to memorize much. And let me clarify this again. You will not have to memorize all that much, or almost anything. You'll just have to know enough to write. You have to write a lot. You have to watch a lot of videos, write notes, and then you are going to have to write me some short papers on Sunday. And then you're going to do the discussions. Each week will look almost exactly the same. You'll get into a routine. Thursday nights, by midnight, you need to have turned in notes and your discussions on the chat board. And then Sunday, by midnight, you give me the papers on the topics that I require. That's essentially our routine. So, what I want you to also to do is to make sure that you communicate with me. I normally do not give out my number or encourage people to call or text me as your professor, but in an online setting, it's important to be accessible. So I work also at another job at a kids center, and so if you text me, usually on my lunch break I can answer your question right off the bat. So I encourage you to do things like that, like maybe hit me up mid-mornings. Usually around between 11 and 2, depending on when I get my lunch. It's not consistent. I'll respond to you. Ideally, I have 48 hours to get a hold of you. That's what I'm technically supposed to do within 48 hours. But I try to get to you right away. You can also write to me on Canvas. That's a good way. What I really encourage you not to do is do not email me, because I have so much email coming. What ends up happening is that I just don't see a lot of it. It slips through the cracks. There's just so much junk mail and other various emails. So, technically you're allowed to do that. I'm not saying that you can't, but I really discourage you from doing that. It's a good way for me not to end up getting to you right away. Canvas is the second best way. The best way is just to text me. But make sure you tell me also, if you text me, say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so in Western Civ 105. I have a lot of students, and I'm teaching a 107 class online right now as well. I don't see anybody's face, so I don't know what you guys look like. So you just got to help me out clarifying who you are, what class, and then what your needs are, okay? I've been a single dad for years. I still am technically, my daughter's 19. It's a little different situation now, right? Here living with me. So I understand the struggles of parenting. And I always stress this to all of you. I know that most of you are having to work a lot, and you have families and other responsibilities, lovers, blah blah blah. So you have a personal life. And so when something distracts you from your college life, I'm not just saying that it's okay, but I do understand. You need to communicate with me. When students don't show up, especially in a cram course, you get behind a little, it's like it's being behind a lot. I would advise you to make sure you keep on top of the work, and if you're struggling, to communicate with me immediately, okay? That's what I want to encourage you to do. And then we can come up with some sort of arrangement or not, depending on the circumstance. So I will, we can try to figure out something. You will be exposed to a lot of information. It's very difficult to absorb so much information in a short amount of time. Some of these topics you'll find very interesting. Some, frankly, you'll find boring. Ultimately, what I hope that you find is that this is very important. The topic of Western Civ, well, I believe in history. I believe in my field. I believe that it's incredibly important for people to be more literate in history. When I watch the news, when I see what politicians say, when I hear what people say on the streets, I become painfully aware of how stifled our society is when it comes to understanding, U.S. history. The continent in which the U.S. was originally came from, really, the European continent. We're learning Western Civ, right? And the contribution that other parts of the world have given to the Western world and to the United States. What I like to do for each of my classes, when I teach U.S. history, I really focus on the U.S. and I'll incorporate those outside sources. When I'm teaching Western Civ, I focus on that and do the same. And when I teach World Civ, I do that. What I really want you to do is realize that when you're going to walk away from this class and you're going to have a certain sense or an idea about the world in which our culture is directly have lineage with, Western world, and I'm focusing mainly on Europe, and it's important to have this understanding. And to understand all the controversy that now exists over the discussion about the relevance, significance, the importance or not of Western civilization. Okay? So, feel free to always contact me. I like to be able to elaborate on certain points for those of you who have interest, because we are going over so much information in a short amount of time. So ultimately I want you to learn. I want you to be educated. I want you to feel empowered. That's the whole idea of this class. Last thing to say, on the discussions, I expect everybody to be respectful. So I believe in free speech, and at the same time, no student in my class should feel directly insulted. And it's a fine line, right, where that is. Some people are overly sensitive and some people are overly insensitive. And so I'm just trying to gauge that. So usually it's not a problem, but I just want you to realize you can be as conservative as you want to be or as liberal, and you can make your cases on some of the discussions we have, but ultimately nobody should be feeling put down. There should not be derogatory terms, or it should have a certain feel of just respect for your fellow student. And again, I don't really have a problem with that too much, but I like to make that clear, really clear at the beginning of our discussions. And that's all I have to say. Welcome again to this class. Have a good week, and we'll be in touch. And here we go. I'm down to keep you guys in the A zone.